I am talking about how when your head hits the pillow, you are immediately asleep. How do I accomplish this? It generally takes me a while to fall asleep. Story 1. Mental hygiene as advised by my neurologist. Stop looking at your phone or any computer screen at least 1 hour before bed. Do not drink coffee for a couple of hours before bed. Do not drink alcohol for at least an hour before bedtime. Drink water before bedtime to hydrate. Go for a short walk in the evening after dinner and make sure you get some regular exercise every day. Just walking outdoors is enough. Do not eat late. Do not read in bed. Silence or turn off your phone so that it does not disturb your sleep. If you have a lot of issues to deal with, write them down and make notes for what you will do the next day. This will unburden your brain, allowing you to relax. Go to bed at least 1 hour before midnight. This creates a better sleep pattern and is more restful for the brain. Allow yourself to relax before bedtime. Make sure your room is not too warm and that your bed covers are not too heavy. This as a whole will give you the best opportunities for restful, restorative sleep and will improve your overall mental and physical well-being. It works. Story 2. No food after 7 p.m. Only water and milk are allowed. Get used to going to bed and waking up at the same times, plus or minus 15 minutes. After some time, the body will adjust itself and you will fall asleep as soon as you lay your head on the pillow. You will feel rested and alert within 5 minutes of waking up. Story 3. No caffeine, vitamin B12, or heavy substances after certain hours. No food after certain hours to support your metabolism. Maintain good temperature regulation and airflow. Use a good mattress and bedding suited to your needs. I personally use a medium-firm hybrid mattress from Big Fig and love it. Use pillows that support your back and spine. I use a carbon pillow on top of an ergonomic one, which helps with snoring and sleep apnea. Maintain good body positioning, being aware of blood flow and any aches or pains. Practice good blue light and phone hygiene, minimizing stimuli before bed. For insomnia caused by racing thoughts, write them down in a notebook or journal. Putting pen to paper can help you fall asleep. Story 4. Work out at any point in the day, followed by the evening schedule. Dinner, walk, cold plunge if possible. Shower, read, bed. Contrary to some suggestions, cannabis may make you sleepy, but it does not improve sleep quality. Story 5. When your head hits the pillow and you are immediately asleep, how do you accomplish this? Good relaxation. Extreme exhaustion. Either will work. Story 6. Our brains love patterns for some reason. Create a ritual before going to bed and repeat it always. Over time, this ritual will become a signal to you that it is time to sleep. Also, not doing anything else in bed except sleeping and intimacy helps. Avoid phones, screens, and lights. I know it can be difficult, but going to bed and waking up at the same time every day also helps. Story 7. After decades of abusing drugs and alcohol, I didn't realize how sleep could actually recharge me when taking a tolerance break. I would wake up early with no desire to go back to sleep, feeling energetic, productive, and ready to conquer the world. But I bounce back and forth. When I let my old bad self take over, I stay up all night and exercise my creative outlets, such as composing, mixing, arranging music, working on graphic design commissions, and preparing shirts for the business I launched while under the influence. So there's a bit of a toss-up. I don't seem to have the creative motivation when I'm sober, but I'm awake longer and feel less lethargic. I think I need to rewire my brain to find inspiration without using substances. Story 8. Water, exercise, and magnesium supplements. Also, no phones in bed. Try to have a routine, sleeping and waking up at generally the same time. Story 9. Do more activities during the day such as exercise, yard work, housework, and hobbies. It is important to use your mind as well. Part of the reason our brains evolved was because we learned how to cook and make energy more available. Our brains use a large amount of energy, so doing puzzles, reading, and talking to knowledgeable people about interesting topics is a great way to improve your sleep. Story 10. Have a baby, stop drinking, read a book. I'll be mid-page in my book, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up for work the next day. Story 11. Go to sleep when you are tired. If you are not tired, wake up earlier to make yourself tired at the time you want to sleep. You would not eat more when you are full, so why sleep when you are not tired? Story 12. As someone who has always struggled with sleep, listening to podcasts is like white noise for me, an absolute godsend. Story 13. I wear sunglasses at night to block a lot of the blue light from screens. I try to keep a consistent bedtime of midnight. I don't eat or drink at least 2 or 3 hours before bed. I often foam roll or stretch, and I have white noise playing as I sleep. Sometimes I drink chamomile tea. Often I read, but not in bed. I try to stay out of my bedroom as much as possible and only reserve it for sleep or sex. I have discovered my optimal bedtime is midnight or later. It's when my body naturally wants to sleep. Any earlier, and I tend to wake up around 3 a.m. and then can't get back to sleep. This is based on many years of battling insomnia and poor sleep. I have it under control now. Story 14. Eat before 7 p.m. Nothing after. No caffeine after 12 p.m. No alcohol during the week. Go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. Make your room cold. Blackout shades are your friend. The last one, no snoozing. Not once. Get up when the alarm goes off. Snoozing is bad. Story 15. Work a lot and do not get enough sleep. Waking up at 4:30 a.m. and going to bed after 11 p.m. Worry about being the only responsible member of the household and who is going to pay the bills. Always on the go. Work is more than 4 days a week, and my wife usually schedules activities on the other 3 days every week. I would not call it sleeping. I would say the body finally gets to shut off when I slow down. Bedtime just happens to be when I slow down. Story 16. I have good night habits that make sleeping much easier. I don't expose my eyes to bright light, which is a common mistake. I engage in low dopamine activities and practice breathing techniques that calm the central nervous system. Most people I know who say they cannot sleep are staring at a screen until the last second, watching stimulating videos such as Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram, and then lay their head on a pillow with their central nervous system buzzing. Story 17. I distanced myself from personal and professional drama. I created a small company helping people with their problems. I live a humble life. Story 18. One thing that really helped me was keeping my room cold, around 65 to 67 degrees, and wearing lightweight pajamas or shorts. I used to sleep warm and toss and turn all night, but once I started lowering the air conditioning, I slept like a rock. Also, having the same wind-down routine every night, even if it is just 15 minutes of reading or listening to a podcast, helped. Story 19. Whenever I take time off from drinking, I sleep like a log. I am not sure why I always end up drinking again. Story 20. Constantly working out and staying active. I can't even get comfortable in my bed and start a YouTube video without falling asleep. If I'm having a hard time, I just read on my Kindle. Story 21. Be exhausted. After being sleep-deprived on my 48-hour shifts, I conk out immediately and wake up without dreaming. This can also include being only physically exhausted if you want to avoid early-onset Alzheimer's. Exercising with a jog or relieving stress does not matter. Story 22. My wife says I am asleep almost immediately. I never remember it. I am usually already exhausted from the day. Story 23. It's a little bit different for everyone, and many good points are covered here already. There is a part of this that is personal trial and error. Don't think just because you do everything I write that you will get the same result. It just works for me. I routinely get a 90+ sleep score on my Garmin. Exercise. I want to write it twice in this list. Make yourself properly tired. Routine and environment. Dark, quiet, good bed, and an appropriate sleep time window. Mine is 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. 3. No alcohol or non-prescription drugs. They completely disrupt my sleep and sleep rhythms. One night is not worth the price to catch up. All habits train you. This habit teaches you how not to sleep well. Practice daydreaming. I do this every night. I close my eyes and create stories in my head. Maybe I pretend I'm Luke Skywalker or Jon Snow. I don't really know or care. I just make things up that are not about work, life, or anything important. Many people do this with TV shows they watch before bed or books they read. I seem to be able to draw from things when I was younger. Coffee, surprisingly, has little effect on me. I can have caffeine at 7 p.m. and be completely fine. There are more sleep hygiene practices I could list, or you can search for that specific phrase. Number 4 is not really talked about, perhaps for good reason, but it works for me. Story 24. Work out. No caffeine after 2 p.m. No blue light after sunset. Read in bed and it is an automatic sleep. Story 25. I do not drink coffee. I can go from doing anything to seeing a pillow and falling asleep as I fall down to it. I do not know how. Story 26. When I hit the pillow, I think, well, there are only 3 hours and 58 minutes to get enough rest to deal with tomorrow's challenges. I am asleep a few minutes later. Story 27. This is me and I have no idea. I am stressed about things but not excessively. I accomplish one task, check my phone to ensure it has enough battery for my alarm to go off in the morning, take a sip from my water bottle, and fall asleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. Story 28. Work during the day usually works well. For real, one thing that improves my sleep a lot is having a regular schedule. I always try to go to sleep and wake up more or less at the same time every day. I like to wake up around 6 to 7 a.m. in the summer, sometimes at 5 a.m. I just love to use as much of the day as possible. Then I go to sleep around 9 p.m. But I think the main thing for me is really basic. I decide what time I want to wake up and I go to sleep 8 hours before to get 8 hours of sleep. Story 29. I had trouble falling asleep my whole life until about 2 years ago, when I started working 12-hour days 5 days a week. I fall asleep now every night within seconds of laying down, simply from being tired. Story 30. The secret is to sleep poorly for about 3 consecutive days prior. Then you are primed for a good night. Story 31. I am very active, so by the time night arrives, I am usually ready to sleep. Also, no caffeine 1 hour before bedtime. If I really cannot sleep, I will eat a lot of food. That usually helps. Story 32. I honestly have no idea. I think some people might be genetically inclined to fall asleep easily. Story 33. I generally aim for get up when you need to, and go to bed when you're tired. With this method, I let my body define bedtime more or less. I get up when I need to be up for work and go to bed when I start to get tired. I try to make sure I am winding down, usually with some television or YouTube, for an hour or so before my usual bedtime. Midnight is my usual target. The alternative method I used to follow was being chronically underslept and overtired. I had to get up early for work and was working a physical job. I stayed up later than I should have, usually because my wife wanted my time and attention, and the only time I had for entertainment or downtime was after the kids went to bed. Running on 5 to 6 hours of sleep meant I could nap or fall asleep anywhere, anytime, often in as little as 1 minute. I do not recommend this method at all, but it definitely works. Story 34. I'll share what works for me without even trying. It usually takes 5 minutes and I'm out. Here's what works for me. 1. Physical activity during the day. Finishing a task. Extremely high brain usage or working on a high-priority task right before sleeping. 1 large sip of water right before lying on the bed. Making sure the room is clean and tidy. Brushing teeth right before bed. Washing face and feet with cold water right before bed. Story 35. Relax your entire face, and then gradually relax the rest of your body. Imagine yourself slowly becoming heavy and sinking into the bed. Story 36. Funny thing, but I have found that if I read for an hour before I go to bed, I sleep much better than if I do not. Story 37. Original poster. I spent my entire life having sleep issues and assumed I could not do better. But there are many things you can do to improve sleep. Andrew Huberman and Dr. Matthew Walker did a 4-part series on sleep. No magic pills, just a lot of practical science-based advice that will help. I am still not an amazing sleeper, but better than I used to be. Story 38. High-intensity compound lifts, an avocado, and dark chocolate before sleep. Forgot to mention a job with little stress. Story 39. I'm sure it has a proper name or term, but I have trained my brain to associate a specific scene with sleep. Takes a few weeks, but when you want to sleep, you imagine a specific thing in your mind. It can be as boring as you want, a room or a view, and then you focus on a specific detail. For example, if that scene has a chair, what does the chair look like? What materials are used? What do the joints look like? The fabrics, the wood? What is the pattern or the wood grain? Each time you try to sleep, you use the same scene and focus, sometimes the same object or something else in that scene, but dialing in on the details. After a couple of weeks, just picturing it will send you off to sleep, and the level of detail you go into will be almost nothing. I find I can sleep pretty much anywhere just by using this technique. Story 40. Block everything out of my head when I get ready for bed. Take magnesium at least 1 hour before. No fluids at least 2 hours before. Pretty much that. Story 41. I think I just train myself to sleep when it's time, but not by the general advice here. I feel like the odd exception. Coffee or caffeine before bed. Use bed for non-sleep. Screens? Sure. I've worked for weeks in bed and still kept my sleep schedule without thinking about it. And that may be one of the two keys. I work very hard to keep my sleep schedule. I have a process when I have trouble getting to sleep. I'm bad at waking up to alarms. I turn them off without realizing it, even the ones on the other side of the room. If I don't turn it off, I'll just sleep through it and my family would complain. The only way I've found that I can consistently wake up on time or hear my alarm is making sure that I go to sleep early enough. About 6 to 8 hours. I gauge the amount by how long it takes to get what feels like a full sleep. Bedtime alarm. Since I can't wake up to an alarm, I set a bedtime alarm based on that sleep time above, plus some time to detect variances in my sleep time. I don't require keeping the same sleep schedule, but if I want to wake up on time, I have to be sleeping on time. If I stay up late, I'll wake up late, be tired, or have trouble getting to sleep at the right time later. If I'm not in bed on time, that can stress me out, especially if there's an important event or flight I need to be ready for and there's no one else to wake me up. 99% of the time, I just fall asleep when it's time, but I still have a meditative process for the 1% when my brain doesn't want to turn off, when I'm stressing about going to bed too late, or when my sleep schedule is off. Eyes closed. Start focusing on my breathing. If any other thoughts come up, I basically tell myself, not the time, just focus on breathing in and out. 99% of the time, I'll fall asleep in the first part of the process, but that still leaves a lot of days where I don't and have to continue to the other steps. Take deep, slow breaths in and out, counting down while doing it like 3, 2, 1, or 10, 9. After a few minutes, add muscle relaxation, focusing on muscle groups, tense them, relax them, one side then the other. Usually from the feet up. Feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, groin, etc. Tense and relax muscle groups not usually done during the day. Continue that upward. Focus on breathing again. Increase counts, breathing depth, amount, etc. After a few minutes, do the relaxation going the other way. Repeat until asleep. Still, that's just the 1% of times I can't get to sleep. I'm someone who can sleep after coffee and other things I'm not supposed to sleep after, and I don't need to go through that process to do it. Your mileage may vary. Story 42. Only if I do strenuous exercise and am very exhausted can I fall asleep quickly. Otherwise, it is not easy. Story 43. Stay off the computer. I usually shut it down around 9 o'clock. I listen to someone with a monotone voice until 10, and then I'm out cold. Story 44. I live alone with no children. My girlfriend lives in another house. The room is dark, and the neighbors are quiet. I have a comfortable bed. I read on my phone before going to bed, which is usually between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m., and it does not matter. Story 45. Secret? There is none. I just do it. I have a good pillow, my lights are off, and the windows are wide open if it is a cool night. I live very high up with a private terrace outside of my bedroom window, so I have no fear of stranger danger. I also live alone and do not have any neighbors above me. I do not know what else to say. Story 46. Do not drink alcohol, and if I do, I drink it in the middle of the day or have one drink with dinner. 2 drinks with dinner or any after dinner, and I am toast. Only sip water as needed after dinner, so I do not have to get up to urinate if I am lucky. Have enough to eat so that I do not wake up hungry in the middle of the night. Take an iodine tablet before bed to help with that as well. Go to bed at the same time and get out of bed at the same time every day. That is it. Story 47. Good sleep discipline. Do not use your bed for watching television, reading books, playing phone games, or similar activities. That is what your couch is for. Story 48. Zen is a person's ability to remain calm and relaxed in the face of difficulties and not worry about things outside their control. So, you are lying in bed trying to sleep. Try letting go of things you cannot do anything about while you are in bed. Actually, relax. Story 49. Maintaining a healthy amount of daily physical activity helps avoid overthinking or engaging the brain with daily life problems and situations when going to bed. Think of something relaxing like a fantasy. You may not even notice when you fall asleep. Story 50. I have a comfortable bed and pillow. Being reasonably sexually satisfied helps a lot as well, with sexual activity within the past 2 days or so. The room should be on the cooler side. Story 51. I sleep better with my girlfriend compared to when I was single, but on the odd night she is gone and I have the bed to myself, I get the most glorious sleep. I also cannot sleep with my feet covered. Story 52. I sleep naked on a tatami mat supported by wooden boards. I am essentially 6 inches off the ground. Story 53. A continuous positive airway pressure machine and a bite guard. It took me almost 40 years to figure out I needed those. I now fall asleep within 5 minutes of closing my eyes. Story 54. I think it is mainly about how relaxed you feel or how tired you are. Usually, I feel sleepy around 11 to 11:30 if I have worked the whole day. Being relaxed also helps. It releases endorphins. I used to start snoring within 5 minutes when I was with my girlfriend, even when I was not tired. Story 55. I try to exercise during the afternoon so that when I am ready to fall asleep, my body is already exhausted and I can fall asleep much faster. Story 56. Having no worries. I have a very good sense of what I can control and what I cannot control, and I do not tend to worry about what is outside of my control. I figured out very early that doing or not doing things you will regret is most likely to keep you up at night wondering about years after the event. I do my best to avoid anything I think I will regret. It is easier to make the hard choices that way and ask yourself what will make you happier in 10 years. Story 57. I probably need to be single. I swear every woman I have been with almost never slept and would not let me sleep either. Does anyone else find this to be the case? Or am I just unlucky? Story 58. My secret is being absolutely exhausted when going to bed. Workdays start with waking up at 6 a.m. A 12-hour shift begins at 7 a.m. and ends at 7 p.m. Then I make dinner and take my son for a while so my wife can get a break. I am in bed by 10 to 11 p.m. to watch some reels with my wife. I don't make it through all the videos we sent each other. She takes care of the child during the night. I don't even wake up for the baby monitor. The weekends aren't as exhausting as the weekdays, but we stay pretty busy anyway. I refuse to take naps during the day and don't drink caffeine close to bedtime. Story 59. Sleep is important, so I have a lot of advice. Getting plenty of physical exercise every day helps you get more tired at night. Being physically tired makes it easier for your body to naturally trigger a sleep cycle. Avoid stimulants close to bedtime, such as caffeine. Similarly, avoid highly stressful activities like running too late in the evening or at night, which might trigger cortisol release. Having a regular schedule that matches your circadian rhythm helps a lot. Do not allow your mind to wander about stressful things. Sometimes this is easier said than done, but realizing you won't fix them while sleeping or trying to sleep helps when this happens. This is especially difficult when you know it is a problem you can solve just by thinking. In addition, a cool or cold room at night, about 66 degrees Fahrenheit for me, and a dark environment with little to no ambient light sources help. My bed also uses a high-quality memory foam topper and pillow. I found a floor fan helps with thermal control at night, allowing you to adjust temperature by exposing skin from blankets while sleeping in case you get warm. Fans can lower the feeling of temperature by about 5 degrees indoors. They also add white noise to help drown out other ambient sounds or provide a sound source when it's too quiet. Sleeping naked or nearly naked helps with body temperature regulation and, mixed with the other factors, makes it easier. Although I find underwear is a must. Otherwise, friction from moving around sometimes wakes me up in sensitive areas. You can layer other things on top of all that. For me, milk will make me sleepy, so it promotes even deeper sleep. I'll buy a small pint if I'm out of town in a hotel or under a lot of mental stress. More universally, having sex or masturbating before bed to orgasm triggers oxytocin and prolactin release, which gives you even deeper sleep. If you have someone with you, such as the person you had sex with, I find cuddling makes it even deeper by furthering that oxytocin release. Story 60. Being tired enough and sleeping in a cold environment. My problem is that I feel like I am definitely geared for a 26 to 27-hour day versus 24 hours. I love sleeping a good 8 hours, but I can easily be awake for 20 as well. The day just is not long enough. Story 61. Between a 38-hour work week and taking care of a child, I am always exhausted by the end of each day. I just lay my head on the pillow and rest. Story 62. I guarantee most responses will be unhelpful. Insomniacs have already tried those. Honestly, take melatonin or diphenhydramine and get as cozy as possible. Weighted blankets help. As for falling asleep when my head hurts the pillow, exhaustion or alcohol may help, but neither is very healthy. Story 63. Stressless work for me. Money is not worth the stress I was experiencing. I am earning slightly less money now, but I have much less stress. It works well so far, and I am sleeping like a baby again. Story 64. No caffeine after 2 p.m. One of those 23andMe tests said I slowly metabolize it, so I noticed doing this helped me feel tired at bedtime. I also take 500 milligrams of magnesium glycinate in the evening. It must be glycinate, and I cannot take anything with calcium in the afternoon or evening because it blocks the channels the body uses to process magnesium. If I really need to sleep or change my sleep schedule, I take Dramamine on an empty stomach 1 to 2 hours before bed. It works for me when diphenhydramine did nothing, doxylamine, which is NyQuil's hypnotic sedative, only worked for a night or two, and prescription Sonata does not do what I need it to. I am an anxious person. I need to feel tired to truly feel like it is time to sleep. A good memory foam mattress helped too. I was also allergy tested because I was always congested. I have an allergy to dust mites, pollen, and mold spores. Dust mites are everywhere. They feed on dead skin cells we and pets have sloughed off. I make sure to wash all of my bedding regularly so that I do not wake up congested. If you are not breathing easily while asleep, then you are not getting quality sleep. If it is a busy week, I at least change my pillowcases. I wash my pillows every few months as well. I stopped using heavy, hard-to-wash blankets or take them to the laundromat to use a large washer to clean them thoroughly. That really improved my quality of sleep. I wake up feeling rested now. Mold spores cling to dogs' coats or fur like static electricity, and dust mites really are everywhere, so I vacuum the bedroom weekly. It lets me breathe better, and being able to breathe easily while sleeping is the biggest improvement you can make. Story 65. No lights, no sound. I have a fan for climate control and white noise, blackout curtains, and lately I have been using a cool mist humidifier. I do not drink caffeine after 12 p.m. If I know I do not feel very tired, I will take 2 5 milligrams dual-spectrum melatonin tablets to relax me. However, that is very rare, usually only if I have had caffeine after 12 p.m. Story 66. Used to smoke marijuana from time to time to help with sleep. Tried gamma-aminobutyric acid a while ago and cannot believe how effective it is. Story 67. Quitting coffee was a game changer. Not just before noon, but all coffee and all caffeine in general. The benefits go beyond better sleep. I kind of hate it now that I know how much it affected me. Story 68. Regulating pornography use was important. I found out I was having major bipolar shifts that were disrupting my sleep. Now I am prepared and adjust accordingly. For example, I manage a snack budget and avoid masturbation for a week or two. I go nuts, literally, when I am manic. I get no sleep at night and sleep all day. Story 69. There is a Huberman Lab podcast about sleep and how to improve it. You can listen to it on Spotify. Story 70. As a child, I lived in a dangerous family home, which caused horrific nightmares. I taught myself to play classical music or music scores on vinyl records, using that as the soundtrack to my unwritten dreams. I imagined the movie my way, flying, hugging a friend, and dancing in the snow. I still use this technique today. I don't even need the music anymore, and I fall asleep within 30 seconds to 2 minutes. In addition, I lie to myself about when I have to get up. I set an alarm, sometimes only 40 minutes away, and pretend I am going to bed for the night with a free day tomorrow. Takes practice, but it works. If you cannot stop the voices and worries in your head, you can talk to your doctor about oxazepam. It helps to calm them down effectively. Story 71. I don't go to bed until I am tired. I do not go to bed if my mind is racing. I use a fan with maybe a 20-minute timer and listen to an audiobook. It does not have to be something new, just something comforting like Harry Potter. I lie on my side and bring one foot up, placing it on the knee of my other leg, which is stretched out straight. I hold my foot on my knee for a random amount of time, and then I release it. After releasing, I fall asleep. Story 72. 3 things are important for me, in this order. Exercise. I do approximately 12 hours of activity per week. Normally, that includes 2 or 3 bike commutes of 2.5 hours each, 1 hour 15 minutes each way, plus a couple of rides on the weekend or a ride combined with a long walk. If you are sedentary, you can start with much smaller amounts of activity. Diet. Eat clean and healthy, and avoid caffeine late in the day. Supplements. I use nighttime teas with valerian root, cannabidiol oil, and a healthy dose of prescribed antihistamines. Normally, I skip the cannabidiol oil, but if I think I need it, it really helps me relax. I have an immune condition that can cause itching and keep me awake for half the night. Cannabidiol calms me down and helps me fall asleep. Story 73. Physical exercise during the day is beneficial. Taking long walks sometime during the day or evening helps. I walk around 4 to 5 miles every day and have found that green tea makes me sleepy at night. Takes me about 30 minutes at most to fall asleep. Story 74. I just read a book in bed until I feel myself drifting off. Sometimes that will be within 5 minutes. Other nights it can be up to an hour. I do not really stress about the time. The only drawback is I read on my iPad, so the light does not bother my partner. This is not the best for eliminating blue light, although it is in night mode, so I think that is supposed to help. Story 75. Make your room completely dark and quiet. Do not engage in activities that require alertness before bed. Most importantly, work hard all day. Story 76. I see a lot of advice about exercise, hard work, and avoiding screens before sleep, but to be honest, even when that is not the case for me, sleep comes very quickly. I think for me, it is my state of mind that helps. Stoicism is a great tool to protect yourself from unnecessary stress and overthinking, and I believe that is what helps me sleep like a baby. Story 77. Blue light blocking glasses. Keep the house somewhat low lit after dinner for the remainder of the evening. I have a sleep mask with thin earbuds in it, and I fall asleep to different music tracks on Insight Timer. It has worked for me for the last few years. Sleep is important to many aspects of your life, so I try to prioritize it as much as I can. Just my 2 cents. Story 78. I think part of it is that I am awake for 17 to 19 hours at a time. By that point, it is a matter of waiting until I am actually tired. Story 79. Cold room. Empty your head by journaling or making a to-do list of whatever is rattling around. Consume less caffeine throughout the day. Sheets from the Lad Collective. I swear by these. I went from feeling hot to feeling like my sheets have air conditioning and are silky smooth. So good. Audiobook on a short timer next to the bed. Close my eyes, and I'm out in 1 to 5 minutes. Extra tips. Breathing. Slow, deep breaths help you go to sleep. You can count if you like. Simply breathe in 1, breathe out 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, etc. nice and slow. I have never had to do this myself, but I saw it on The Mentalist, so it must be good. Get up at the same time every day of the week. Aim for sleep in 90-minute cycles. Bedtime is not as important, but you'll feel more awake if you miss bedtime and wait until you are closer to the next 90-minute increment. This allows you to get a full cycle of sleep. Story 80. I have a box fan running on medium, and the slight air movement and noise help me fall asleep. Without the noise, I focus on other random sounds, which wakes me up. Get a box fan and point it at your feet from the side. Story 81. I do not know if it is my placebo effect working overtime, but I take 250 milligrams of magnesium in fish oil before bed, and they seem to help me fall asleep. Story 82. I turn the computer off and read a novel. It is very relaxing. I fall asleep moments after my head hits the pillow. Story 83. I've had quality mattresses for years but neglected the pillow. Once my wife introduced me to Japanese-style buckwheat pillows, it was a game changer for settling down to sleep. Once you get the amount of fill dialed in for you, it will be firm but conforming and breathable, so not too hot. Story 84. Working out, having a full-time career, and a 1-year-old son really take it out of me on a daily basis. Stay active, stay mentally engaged. Oh, and having the right bed helps immensely. My wife and I splurged on a Sleep Number bed, and we could never go back to a regular mattress. Story 85. Magnesium and the crushing weight of 3 other lives depending on me entirely, kind of like a weighted blanket. Working 16 to 20 hours a day helps too. I am pretty much always tired. I drink an energy drink and I mellow out pretty well and am ready for a nap. Story 86. Close your eyes, take 5 deep breaths, and say in your head or out loud, 55515. Declassified Central Intelligence Agency documents. I couldn't believe how well it worked for me and my kids. Story 87. Check out the book, Atomic Habits. It specifically addresses how to regulate a sleep schedule and get restful sleep. It has helped me immensely, along with other areas of my life. Story 88. I've always had trouble with sleep, but have been sleeping well the past few months. I have a creative mind, which can be hard to slow down. What helps me is being active during the day and staying away from screens, unlike me at 11 p.m. as I type this. Just calm your mind. Try to clear it out and make it voiceless. Story 89. To reach that level, I need to be exhausted, such as after a 70 to 100 kilometer bike tour or a 15-kilometer hike. What also helps me is winding down properly without my phone, usually by reading. I avoid caffeine completely because I am sensitive and can feel the effects of morning coffee in the evening. I sleep in a completely dark room since any light source makes it harder to fall asleep. If none of that helps, I use cannabis. My house also has orange lighting in the evening, which is easier on the eyes. Story 90. My wife often complains about how I can fall asleep in about 2 minutes, while she lies awake for half an hour trying to get to sleep. I don't know. If I'm tired and lie down, I usually fall asleep quickly. Probably because I am already 3 or 4 hours past the time I wanted to go to bed, as life is busy and exhausting. However, if I get interrupted and have to get up and do something, then return to bed, I usually lie there for about 20 to 30 minutes trying to calm my mind because the sleep-inducing chemicals have left my system. Story 91. Stretch your hamstrings and hip flexors right before you go to bed. Been doing it for years and it is a total game changer. No more tossing and turning. I do wake up at 4 a.m. every morning to stretch again, but I think that is more of a weird routine I developed. I sleep great most nights regardless. Story 92. I am blessed. If I get sleep, I can sleep anywhere. On the floor, on a chair. I once slept on a running motorcycle and fell off, peeling my face. Story 93. See, your subject asks one thing, yet the message is a completely different thing. Regarding the latter, my answer is medications. Those usually do the trick. But the former question is a whole other ballgame. Waking up every couple of hours is taxing, and I cannot even remember how it felt to wake up feeling rested. But at least I usually can fall asleep easily. Unless, Story 94, food. It's normally your liver that causes issues with sleeping. Eat foods that agree with you and keep your heart rate down. Buy a pulse meter. Can get them for about $20 in the United States. Check your heart rate regularly to identify which foods cause it to rise and avoid them. That would be a great start. Story 95. Go to bed and get up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Quit caffeine if you have not, and cut down on sugar, especially before bed. Story 96. For me, I play a movie in my head, as if I am filming a movie about something. Then boom, I am dreaming. Story 97. Drink coffee only in the morning. Eat well every day. Do not look at your phone before falling asleep. Keep your head elevated at night with 2 pillows. Finally, to fall asleep immediately, think intensely about something beautiful. Story 98. Minimal stress job, good challenging workout during the day, stable loving relationship. Eat no later than 3 hours before bed. Story 99. I don't sleep well. It generally takes me about 1 hour to 1.5 hours to fall asleep. Everyone is a bit different. Original poster, good luck. Story 100. The moment I understood that I cannot change the past, the present became bearable and sleeping became a good friend. Story 101. Be totally consistent with your sleep schedule. My internal clock is very consistent, so I never have trouble falling asleep like I did when I was younger. It happens instantly now. It also results in me waking up around 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays and Sundays, which can be frustrating, but it is what it is. Story 102. If I struggle to sleep, I take Andrew Huberman's sleep cocktail. Forcing myself to wake up early at a fixed time also helps. Story 103. I sleep in what I'm comfortable in. I rarely sleep in pajamas. I mainly just sleep in my briefs and a t-shirt if I feel like it. Most of the time, I sleep in just briefs. Story 104. I fall asleep easily at night and wake up early in the morning. I always sleep through the night. My tip is to always get 7 or more hours of sleep. If I do not get enough sleep, I become physically sick. I sleep from midnight to 7 a.m. every day. When I did not sleep well, it was closely tied to anxiety. Journaling at night about my stresses and avoiding caffeine after 2:15 p.m. helped me. Drinking a cold glass of water first thing in the morning helps me wake up. Story 105. This might be a left turn, but consider the color of light you are using before bed. There is a setting in Windows and Arch Linux that sets the color of the screen to match the color of sunlight at different times of day. As the day goes into night, the color changes from blue-white to progressively more orange. This helps keep your internal cycle running on the right clock and prevents confusion caused by blue light from screens. When I made the switch, I noticed I got tired at more appropriate times and fell asleep more easily. If you have run out of ideas, this is a good next idea. Story 106. Before you go to bed, allow your brain to turn off. I do this by turning off all the overhead lights and only using lamps. I wind down by cleaning for 20 to 30 minutes while listening to music or watching a show. I take some magnesium and melatonin to help me stay asleep and listen to red noise. It basically sounds like you are on a plane, and it is very relaxing. Exercise is important too, but I have found that a routine helps me fall asleep quickly. Story 107. Hearing is impaired in one ear, so I can adjust my hearing by turning my head. A comfortable bed, cool air, a dark bedroom, and a clear conscience. Story 108. My dad has a sleeping issue that I inherited from him. The older I get, the worse it becomes. I use cannabis at night, and it has been helping me for years. It is obviously not for everyone, but I just thought I would share. Story 109. People who sleep soundly are the luckiest ones. I have trouble sleeping no matter what I do. I cannot get proper rest. Even if I go to bed early, I wake up in the middle of the night. What is going on? Story 110. It is important to maintain a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at the same time each day if possible. Use the same place for sleep only, and try to sleep in the same position. Story 111. I have restless leg syndrome sometimes. I started taking magnesium at night, and it has been a lifesaver. I no longer need to smoke at night, Story 112. There are some controllable factors and some you cannot control, so I am only commenting on the factors that are known to work. You have to prioritize sleep. Your body and mind crave routine, so create a routine that signals to your body and mind that it is bedtime. This could be heading to bed to read for 30 minutes before desired sleep. Make it work for you, but this step is necessary. It takes about 10 days for your body to adapt to the pattern. You must allow an 8-hour opportunity for sleep. If you need to be up at 6 a.m., your bedtime is 10 p.m., so the routine starts before 10 p.m. This firms up the routine, but crucially, a lack of sleep leaves cortisol and other stress hormones in the blood. High stress markers reduce sleep quality because your brain interprets this as danger. Consistently getting 8 hours helps keep stress lower, improving sleep quality the following night. Buy the best bedding you can afford, not the most reasonable, not what appears to be a bargain, but the best. Good sleep requires a good environment, and you spend 1/3 of your life asleep, so make it good. There will be moments in the 10 days and shortly after when it does not feel like this has worked. Stick to it. Your body is adjusting to the new routine. Do not nap during the 10 days. Be aware of naps after this period. It is fine to have naps, but they should be about 20 minutes and never within 6 hours of bedtime. Story 113. I have found that many men who snore loudly are constantly tired and fall asleep easily. I do not recommend this. See a doctor to get a proper diagnosis and treatment. Poor sleep can lead to serious health problems such as cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and many other conditions. Story 114. Going to the gym at night tires me out quite well. I just need something that makes me so tired that my brain stops being overactive. Story 115. People who sleep soundly are the luckiest ones. I have trouble sleeping no matter what I do. I cannot get proper rest. Even if I go to bed early, I wake up in the middle of the night. What is going on? Story 116. People who sleep like a baby are the luckiest ones. I have trouble sleeping no matter what I do. I cannot get proper sleep. Even if I sleep early, I wake up in the middle of the night. What is going on? Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.